Peace everyone, Unmask here, and welcome back again to my self-portrait live stream. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying it up to this point. I know I haven't really completed a lot, but since I'm going to be working on it all month, I gotta take my time. Hello, Piano Art, Brandon, and Danny. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much for coming by the live stream a little bit early. Always am surprised by the people that wait for the live streams to start. Hello, Lily. Good to see you. So today I'm just going to continue layering on the background and try to get the paper completely covered. So that's gonna be the goal for today. I'm going to use a little bit more pressure here with my pencils and try to get the color to show up a bit more, and hopefully my background will start to look a little bit more covered, because right now still a lot of the paper is showing through. I've done 2 layers of pencil so far and blended with solvent, or actually no, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday I was finishing up layering with pencil, and I said I was going to start with some colors today and then blend with solvent. But yeah, I'm gonna instead excuse me. Instead, I'm just gonna keep layering with my pencils and try to cover up the paper a little bit more, because right now I just don't have enough pencil on the paper to warrant blending. So. Hello Tessa, Tiffany, Marcy, and Dee. Thank you guys for coming by and hanging out. I hope you are having a lovely Saturday so far. Or, depending on your time zone, I hope that you had a lovely Saturday. I just got back from the grocery store not too long ago and made some food. Not quite dinner, not quite lunch, kind of in between, and it was quite tasty. I think I may have put a little bit too much food on my plate. I'm feeling a bit heavy, but so far the whole food, 100% whole food challenge, I guess. I don't know if I can really call it a challenge, but I mentioned it before, and if you follow me on Facebook, then you know. Not only am I streaming every day this month, but my wife and I, we are doing the entire month of May, we're doing 100% whole foods. No flour, no sugar, no nothing like that you would get in a bag or whatever, you know, the processed food. No processed food, no oil. So that's what we're doing for the entire month, and I'm closing out day 4 with a live stream, and probably a tasty bowl of some blueberries and banana later on. But it's been going really well. You know, most of you know I've been vegan for 10 years, and I thought it was going to be actually harder because, you know, we don't eat a lot of processed food or sugar or anything like that in general, but I did anticipate it being a little bit more difficult not cooking with oil, and especially like not doing noodles, not doing not doing any noodles, not doing any flour, so like no tortillas, no pizza, none of that stuff. I thought that I'd really be missing it, but so far, you know, 4 days in, and I don't really miss anything. I think maybe I'm gonna miss tortillas a bit, but I'll survive the month for sure. The solvent that I use is Zest It. That seems to be a really common question. I've gotten it every day I've streamed so far. Hey, what's up, Jesse? Good to see ya. Heidi Sneaks. Hello, Virginia. I see you. Good morning. Tiffany. Yes, hello to you. Not sure what else to talk about. We've had all kinds of conversations already this month. Um, Yesterday was less of a conversation and more just me venting about how frustrated I am searching for houses. How does Anna feel about the diet change? Um, you know, I thought it was going to be kind of like this thing that we argued about a little bit or whatnot, but honestly, she's just in it. She's just doing it, and I thought that she'd complain, but neither one of us have complained one time. Uh, let's see, she she grinds up. She has this little grinder, and she grinds up these walnuts and puts them on like everything. For breakfast, she eats. She usually will eat a shredded apple because she only eats apples one way. She has to peel her apples and then she has to grate it. It's the only way she eats apples. Don't ask me why. But she'll do that and then she'll grind up some walnuts and put on her apples and a banana. So basically, walnuts, apple, and banana for breakfast every morning for her. That's like her favorite thing. And then the other thing that we've kind of discovered is that we don't really miss cooking with oil. Um, like I thought that it was going to be a problem, like when you frying some veggies or something like that. Um, what we do is called water frying, which is not really, I don't even know if that's a proper name. But essentially, you just put a really small amount of water in your frying pan. You cook whatever you're cooking, and as the water evaporates, it starts to kind of brown whatever it is you're cooking. And we use a stone skillet so that nothing sticks to it. Stone skillets are probably the best for not having the stuff stick to it. And you just cook it on like a medium heat, and then that's it. We fry up mushrooms and onions, and it tastes just as good, but without oil or without any type of fat or anything like that. And I was kind of surprised by that. So that's probably something that we'll continue to do even after this month. If it's unnecessary to use the oil uh, when we're making some foods, so we'll probably cut out a lot of oil in our diet after this month is over. Because I don't know if we're going to. Well, I can say for sure we're probably not going to stay 100% this way. We like to indulge every now and again, and it's perfectly fine to do, eat certain things in moderation. The other thing that I will certainly be adding back into my diet is like rice milk. Perhaps that's what I miss the most right now is rice milk. So yeah, add that back in. Let's see. Speaking of like nuts and seeds and stuff, that's what we went to the store for basically. We literally just we got macadamia nuts, pecans, walnuts. Oh no, not walnuts. We already have like a billion of those. Brazil nuts. I got this bag that has sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, and one other seed, I think, but I can't remember what it is. So we got like just a ton of nuts and seeds. How do you decide the price of a piece? Many people start asking me to sell my art, and I want to, but don't know what to ask for. That's a really good question. There's a lot of like ideas out there about pricing your work, and one thing that I've always been strongly against is pricing your work based off the size. So some people like, oh, a colored pencil drawing, I charge $20 per, square inch or something like that. I find that to be the worst idea. So never charge by size in that instance, like where it's price per size, and you break your size down into like inches or centimeters or whatever like that. Because the reason I say that is because not all in square inches or square centimeters of anything is the same. So if I were to cut out this square inch here around my eye, it would not be the same as the square inch here. So charging by the square inch makes no sense at all, because it doesn't determine anything. What I usually do for my artwork is I just make up the price, whatever I want. I recommend you think about how much money you want to generate from it and divide your time. So if you're spending like 8 or 9 hours on a drawing, think about what your time is worth. And what you can also do is you can go out and you can look at other artists and see what they're charging for similar pieces. And you can, help, you can let their prices help you decide what you want your prices to be. But in the end, prices are completely arbitrary. You make them up as you want. But what I would urge you to do is, when you settle on a price, don't budge. I don't do a lot of commissions anymore. And even when I get approached by people that want me to do commissions, as soon as I tell them my price, because I have a minimum price of $1,000, like I won't take any work on for anything less than $1,000. So I won't, like, a lot of times people will just message me and be like, oh, hey, could you do this portrait, just kind of a smallish portrait or whatever. And I'll just message them back. I say, my minimum price to take on a commission is $1,000. So I won't charge $1,000 for a drawing this size. I just flat out won't do it. So that's kind of what I've come up with, but that's because I don't rely on commissions for my livelihood. So it's a really gray area, and there's no definitive way. The best advice I can give you is just come up with a price in a vacuum. What you want people to pay for it, and don't back down from it. If you tell people with confidence what your price is, they're going to respect your price. And anybody that doesn't, you can just ignore them. I might have missed a few questions going on with my description here. Let me scroll back up. What happened to the slug? Oh, he sits over on my dresser there. He's all painted and everything. Heidi, I don't know. I personally, I don't change my prices based on the wealth of the person buying it. Um, Everybody is the same because if you think about it, you know, anybody that goes into a store to buy something, they're going to get it for the same price anybody else is. And you can't let your prices be personal. You can't let your prices be personal because you're either going to lose money that way or you're going to lose credibility. Um, so just you know, if you feel like it's the wrong thing to do, then odds are it's because it's the wrong thing to do. And I would urge you to do otherwise in that case. Oh, hey, what's up, Mache? Good to see you. Hello, Catrice, Nat, Jaume, good to see you. Off to work, Sally, Paula. Thank you guys for coming by and hanging out. When will I be back with MTG? I don't know. I don't have any plans right now to get back into Magic. It's kind of just I've kind of hit a wall with Magic, and I just have not been enjoying it at all. And I just yeah, the time and the money that I dedicated to the game just feels fruitless, and I don't know if I'll be back. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be back to Magic. I'm kind of on a video game kick. I've been playing a lot more chess lately, and then I got into playing Path of Exile. Just this week, I started playing Path of Exile, and it is, oh gosh, it's so good. It's such a fun game, ridiculously fun. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll be back to Magic anytime soon. I don't. I even like stored all my cards away. I put them away. They're completely out of sight and out of mind now. So I don't know if I'll be back to Magic anytime soon. I didn't even go to the recent pre-release. So yeah, not sure I'll be back. I'll probably do like a pretty heavy layer of this gray, and then probably stop around here and then do some more layering with some of the purplish, light purplish colors over there. But I really want to get the paper covered up. Tired of the white showing through. I don't normally do backgrounds, especially with colored pencils, and so it's been a while. It's been a while since I've covered this much paper with colored pencils. Why so much time on the background? Well, the background, the background of any creation is just as important as all the other parts of the artwork. And so you know, you got to take your time even on the background to avoid making mistakes. This was a bit of a conversation I think we had yesterday, where I talked about the importance of avoiding mistakes in the background, because the whole idea of the background is that it supports whatever your main subject is. And in order to support your main subject, the background has to be invisible, meaning that it doesn't have anything that distracts the viewer from your main subject. So when somebody looks at your artwork, their eyes focus on the main subject and they don't drift away. They don't feel like they're being pulled in one way or another. And so the only way to avoid that in your backgrounds is to have non-distractions, and mistakes in the backgrounds often turn out to be distractions. In the case of this background, you know, I want it to be just nice and soft and almost look like a watercolor painting in the back. It's just kind of a standard, like, studio screen or backdrop, like you would see in a lot of different portraits and stuff. And so I want it to be nice and soft and blurry, and I don't want any of the focus to be on it. And of course, I want it to be completely covered. I want the paper to be completely covered. And the only way to do that is to spend time on it. There's no shortcuts here. There's no shortcuts. And besides, I have the entire month to work on this. So in no way am I in a rush. The weekend streams, like my wife has been on a really epic long weekend. She's been off since this Wednesday, and she doesn't go back to work until Monday. So I've been trying to spend as much time with her. So the live streams starting out for this month have only been like an hour and a half, give or take a couple minutes. But come Monday, I could stream anywhere between 1 hour to 7 hours. Yeah, just depends on how I'm feeling. So there's gonna be longer streams. There's gonna be longer streams to come when my wife is at work and I don't have anything better to do with my life. Oh, hey there, Brenda. Good morning. Good afternoon. Star Child, that is quite the story. That has got to be one of the coolest stories I've come across in the chat. Oh, hey there, Iris. Good to see you. It's been quite some time. I'm happy to see you in the chat. Lucas, good morning, afternoon. It's fantastic seeing all these new people in the chat. Yeah, I feel you, Star Child. I feel like you should be able to work like that regardless of who is home. My wife and I call it bum attire. That's what we call it. And we are almost exclusively in bum attire. Oh, hey there, Marshmallow Man. I am glad you're here also. Things have been going really good, Iris. Yeah. The, I mean, my channel still going strong. Uh, and yeah, I'm getting ready. I just bought some plane tickets. Well, a plane ticket. I'll be heading back to the United States next month to see my family and spend time with them as my sister gives birth to a new baby girl. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I think this month, well, I'm streaming every day. This month is gonna just fly by for me. Like when I do the Inktober and stuff, I first my year has for the past 2 years it's only had 11 months. It has 11 months in Inktober, 2017, 2018, and then this month. I mean, this year is only going to have 10 months. It's going to have 10 months, Inktober, and self-portrait month or whatever. I don't have a name for what I'm doing here except streaming every day for a month doing a self-portrait. Yeah, the months where I stream every day just I turn around, the month is gone. I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. Uh, and and then before I know it, it's going to be June, and I'm going to be on a plane back to Ohio. Oh, thank you, Iris. Yeah, uh, I'm liking the new hairstyle also. It's very convenient. Super, super convenient. My hair dries in like my hair dries by the time I remove the towel. So like I dry it with a towel, I just, do one of these and then it's dry. And that is something I have not experienced in a very, very, very long time. So it's very refreshing, very refreshing. I like that I can just wake up. I like wake up in the morning. First thing I can do is just wash my hair. It's like that's just great. And then my hair is completely dry before I even get started on breakfast. Oh, thank you, Brenda. All right, the next color that I need. What color was I using? I was using this. I'm going to use some of this. Um, I've been an uncle for a long time. This is my sister's fourth kid. I love being an uncle. I especially love being the uncle to a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old because I am the famous YouTube uncle, famous artist YouTube uncle. So it's really cool to be an uncle to kids those age where it is cool to be a YouTuber. So I'm pretty much the coolest uncle. And that was confirmed. Yeah, that was confirmed. I am the coolest uncle. I visited actually my wife and I we went back to the States and visited in November for my dad's birthday and family vacation time. And it was confirmed during that time that I am the favorite uncle. It probably it probably helped that I went back with the full intention of spoiling my niece and nephew as much as I possibly could. I brought them a couple presents when I came, and and then while I was there, I bought my nephew a new PS4 game, a new PS4 controller, um, some Pokemon cards. I think I spent like $300 on them or something. We went into the game store and I was like, just get whatever you want. And $300 later, I was confirmed the favorite uncle. My niece, she's a little bit older, so I just gave her money. Oh, hey there, Barbara. I know it's off topic. Did you watch the last episode of Game of Thrones and did you like it? Abso-freaking-lutely. I loved it. It was amazing episode. Um, that battle was just fantastic. The directing and everything in that last episode was just everything I could have hoped for. And goodness, it's just I love Game of Thrones. Funny story about Game of Thrones. When when Game of Thrones first kind of came out, I think it was no, actually, it was probably 2 or 3 years after because I think people were watching season 3 at the time, and it was like all you could see on Facebook and social media was like people talking about Game of Thrones, and it was basically when it had taken over the internet. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to watch it, and I painfully tried to get through the first season. I like when I watched the first season, and this was probably 2012 maybe. So this was like 7 years ago or something. I don't know exactly when it was, but I'm guessing 2012. Um, and then I started season two, and I think I almost got through the third episode, maybe the second episode, and I just had to call it quits. There was just something about it at that time that I just hated it. I couldn't stand it. And then, rather recently, I think it might have been last year, or yeah, probably last year. Um, my wife and I, we run through a lot of TV shows, a lot of movies. I mean, we watch, we go to the movie theater almost every single week, except when they're playing garbage tier movies like Captain Marvel. Um, and we've seen a lot of movies in the movie theater in the past year or so, and then of course I download movies and I have like a hard drive just filled with a bunch of movies and TV shows. Same thing. We've watched all the uh, Marvel TV shows off Netflix. Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones. Just like so much TV, so much movies and stuff, and so we run out really really quickly. We do just way too quick. So we had kind of gotten to that point. I was like, hey, you want to try to watch Game of Thrones? And this was maybe last year or possibly 2017 sometime. And I just got all the seasons and we we went through them, and I don't know what it was about going through it a second time. It was just, it clicked, and I fell in love with it, and I was like, this show is just so awesome. And then we caught up to where they're currently at, and ended up having to wait just like everybody else for season 8. And season 8 has not disappointed at all. All 3 episodes have been really, really great. Although they're way too short. I wish they were twice as long at least. I wish every episode was 2 hours long. Shiny, if you know, it depends on what kind of shows, what kind of movies, what kind of stuff that you like. But I can definitely recommend the Game of Thrones if you just flat out like stories, because it has a really good story to it. Like, it's a fun story to follow, and I think that's what keeps me coming back, or has kept me coming back. And then once you get involved in the story, you know, you learn who your favorite characters are, and once you have your favorite character, you just have to see how it goes for them. My favorite character is Arya. She's always been my champion character, and then very close behind her is Jon Snow. I love his authenticity as a character. Just fantastic. He's such an honorable character, which is very commendable in the show, in the world in which all that stuff takes place. Your favorite is still The Walking Dead? You know, I was like, I really, really loved Walking Dead. I loved it. But goodness gracious, has it gone downhill? Jeez. I mean, once they got rid of, like, the main protagonist, I don't want to do spoilers. I'm trying to avoid spoilers best I can. But, I mean, it just, the last season, I don't even know if there was a single episode that I really enjoyed. It was like, it felt like the entire season was just one long act that was just like dragging on. It's somewhat like season 2, where they're looking for the girl for like the entire season, and it's like, oh my gosh, just, she's dead, move on. I know that sounds really bad, but season 2 was just a snooze fest and a half. But gosh, it's not working. Whatever they're doing, it's not working. The last season, I just felt like was so bad. In fact, the last season was so bad that I wasn't even looking forward to the next episode. Like, that's how much I felt like they messed it up. I completely agree, Iris. Even Daryl can't make up for all the terrible plot ideas that they've been coming up with lately. One of the dumbest and like cheesiest things that has happened recently in The Walking Dead, spoiler alert, is when they come across those marauders, that the highwaymen, where they just come out of nowhere for one, and they're about to like kill them, but then they're like, when's the last time you saw a movie? And they're like, oh, and they just drop their weapons and give up. It's like, what? It was just a really, really stupid part of the story. And then they die like they all die like the next episode. It's like, what was the point of introducing these people if you're just going to kill them off in like one episode? It was very lame. It was very lame. There's nobody in the show right now that's able to carry it. Nobody in the show can carry that show. There's not a single character besides Daryl, and I don't even remember her name. What is her name? I don't know. Yeah, pretty much Daryl. And he's not enough. Daryl is not enough to carry that show. He's a great sidekick. But he's not a main character. We haven't learned anything about Daryl the entire series. We know essentially nothing about him, which makes him a terrible main character to transition to. And now there is no main character. There's no, there's nothing. I don't know what they were thinking with that. Oh my gosh, Star Child. Our conversations. I can never get over the level of randomness our conversations go to. There is Star Child, referring to your comment about a good change from serial killer documentaries and murder shows. There is an amazing show. I'm trying to remember it. I just watched it. Like season one is out, and I don't know when season 2 is supposed to start, but it was so insanely good. Takes place in like the 70s, like the 60s or 70s, and it's about this FBI agent that goes around and talks to like these hardcore, insane, crazy serial killers while they're in prison, because he wants to try to figure out like what makes them do what they do, so that they can use it. Mind Hunters, yes. Oh my god, that show is so amazing. I watched the first episode of that show, and I immediately watched every single episode afterwards. Like, just I watched the entire season in one day. I couldn't stop watching it. It was so good. Yeah, that show had skipped my mind because it only lasted one day for me. It was like just one 10-hour movie, and then I forgot the name of it. But yeah, Mind Hunters, so good. Oh yeah, you won't be disappointed, Iris. You will not be disappointed. It is just a fantastic show. And it's, the one thing about that show, that it does so well, like, I don't know if you're familiar with you ought to be familiar with the show Dexter, but quick synopsis of the plot of Dexter is that Dexter is a serial killer that kills other serial killers, and the show is set up in a way that you root for Dexter, like you're on Dexter's side, which is a really unique thing to do, like put you on the side of a serial killer. It's very, you know, very interesting position to be in. But that's the reality of the show Dexter, is that you're kind of on his side the entire show. You're like, oh, don't get caught. When he's about to get caught, you're like, oh my gosh, don't get caught. And then when he gets caught in certain situations, you're like, oh my god, what are you gonna do? And Dexter's a really great show too. But that's what Mindhunters does. It gets you on. It strangely gets you on the side of like the serial killers in this really weird way. It's just a really fun show to experience. They just did a fantastic job writing that show. Like the show is so well written that it almost feels like you're kind of watching a documentary about how the FBI developed its its criminal psychology. It's super great. That is kind of funny, Star Child. I love it. I love it when we get into conversations about TV shows and stuff. I love talking about TV shows and movies. It doesn't surprise me that doing like movie reviews and TV reviews and stuff on YouTube are so popular. I always get recommendations of people doing reviews. And the weird thing is, I never watch people's reviews on YouTube, so I don't know why I keep getting recommendations. Although YouTube has recommended some weird stuff in the past. I don't know what YouTube thinks I like to watch, but they are way off base 80% of the time. Oh, hey, what's up, Cece? Although I do have to give it up to YouTube on continuously recommending home improvement videos. I could watch people improve their house all day, every day. I love watching people make stuff and like change their cabinets or make those countertops. Those I love the concrete countertops, and I love the epoxy countertops. My goodness, I could watch people making epoxy countertops all gosh darn day. I love it. Marcy, that's insane. I was studying to be a psychologist before I transitioned into mathematics. I always really liked um, psychology because I was so interested. I was very interested in the concept of like mind manipulation or like brainwashing, and I was always really curious as to like understanding the psychology of brainwashing or like I don't know, like cults and religions and things like that. I was always really interested in that, and I've read several books about it, and watched like documentaries and stuff, but I ended up pursuing math instead. The reason is because I found out that psychologists have a very short career, because they often, and and I probably would have as well. They get into the counseling side, you know, and my my psychology teacher in college, she, well, I talked to her about like becoming a psychologist and stuff like that, because that was kind of my goal. And she used to work on the clinical side of psychology, but she said that she had to stop because what when you go to the clinical side of psychology, what you're getting is the worst. Like, you're getting the stories of the worst possible things you can imagine from people. You're getting, like, I'm not going to say specifics, but you're getting the worst stories of people. And she said that it takes a real toll on you, and a lot of psychologists have their own therapist because they need to vent these things that they can't talk about with anybody else because of patient privilege. And I was like, yeah, maybe I don't want to do that. Like, I like talking to people, and I like giving advice. And I've always actually, when I was in high school, they used to call me Dr. Will, like Dr. Phil, but Dr. Will, because people would like come sit at my table and they would vent their problems to me, and they would be asking me for my advice and whatnot, and I would just look at their situation with a level head and give my best advice to them, and they always appreciated it. And it might not surprise anybody that most of my friends in high school were girls, but yeah, a lot of relationship drama in high school. I certainly counseled a number of my friends on their relationships. Yeah, so you guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so I after that conversation, my plan changed, and I pursued math to be a high school math teacher. I've always really enjoyed teaching, and that's probably why I ended up doing it on YouTube with art, since I didn't end up being a math teacher. And I figured, people look up to the teacher, and I figured, I'll be working with kids that probably need, or a majority will probably need a good role model. And I figured, a teaching position would be an opportunity to be a good role model without having to take home too much baggage from like talking about the worst of humanity, as opposed to being a psychologist. So that's kind of the route that I ended up going. And then, of course, after I graduated college, I never stepped foot back into a classroom. Not by a lack of trying, though. It was really close. I would have ended up being a math teacher, and I may have never moved to Poland had the University of Washington's master program accepted me the first time. Had they accepted me the first time, then I would probably be teaching math right now. I probably wouldn't be married to my wife. Did I counsel the hot girls to go out with me instead? No, no, I didn't. Um, I, uh, I never, I only had one, no, I had two. I had 2.5. I had 2.5 hot girlfriends during the whole school stuff. I had one when I was in the 6th grade, which inevitably lasted 3 days, obviously, 6th grade. I had another one when I was in seventh, seventh or eighth. I don't know. It was seventh or eighth. Probably seventh. That one lasted maybe 2 weeks. Maybe 2 weeks. She went to a different school, so it was complicated. She was also in high school, so yeah, it was inevitable to fail. Um, and then the half one was I think like a month. Like it lasted a month. It was in high school, um, and like she was really attractive, but she had some unattractive qualities about her, physically anyway. That's why I say 2.5. But yeah, that's that's that. I think I'm ready to do some blending. I almost had a third. I almost had a third hot girlfriend, but my counseling couldn't convince her to dump her boyfriend and go out with me. I think I was a senior. Maybe I was a senior. No, I had to have been a junior. Yeah, but we had like we would see each other in the halls and like meet up and chat, and I'd be like, "Did you dump your boyfriend yet?" And she'd be like, "No, not yet." And then we would go on to class. And the funny thing is, the entire thing started with me just complimenting her hair one day. I had noticed her, plenty of times, but I'd never talked to her. And one day she was in between classes. I think maybe I was going to the bathroom or something, or I don't know. But class was in session, so the halls were empty, and she just happened to like walk out of somewhere or something, and I was walking like back to class, or I don't know. But she was just slightly ahead of me, so I sped up a little bit and came up beside her, and I asked her. I said, "You must spend a lot of time on your hair in the morning before school." And she said, "Oh, no, not really." And I said, "Because it is perfect every day." That's what I said to her. I said, "It is just perfect every single day." And her hair was perfect. It was just a gorgeous jet black. Um, it was a short haircut, like the bob haircut, if you guys remember those from the mid 2010s. I don't know what they call that, like 2004, 2005 time frame. That haircut was like super in style. Um, and that's how it started. I just told her that her hair is perfect every day. I didn't say anything else to her. And yeah, then we started talking after that, but she had a boyfriend, and it never happened. So we just had a flirt fling. Her boyfriend was graduated; he wasn't in school, so I was competing with that. Oh, Star Child. That's funny. That's funny. Most of you know. Most of you know my wife and I's story, considering I've uploaded it to YouTube, and I've also talked about it a million times during live streams. But yeah, I never get tired of talking about our story. It's funny. Like I was not even like looking. I was certainly not looking for someone halfway around the world. Uh, but somehow it came to be. Somehow it came to be. The the events, like all of the events that have led up to me like being right here during this live stream, it just blows my mind sometimes when I stop and think like I'm in Poland right now. I'm live streaming doing this, and I do this for a living. Like this is what I do for a living. And sometimes I think about that, and it's just like, how did I get here? Like, what did I do to get here? I don't even know half the time. What am I doing when I'm blending? Um, well, I am using my trusty number 8 round brush that has been with me from the beginning. And I keep it rather dry. I keep it rather dry. So it's basically just damp. And then I use that to rub the pigment and blend out. But I don't use like a lot of solvent or anything like that. I keep it rather dry because the solvent is strong enough to blend the pencil without it having to be like a lot of solvent. Using too much solvent will cause you to actually pull the pigment off of the paper. So you don't want to ever use too much solvent. And the more layers you apply to your paper with colored pencil, the less solvent you're going to want to use. You're going to want to use less and less solvent. So just keep that in mind. And I think I'm ready to use some solvent. So I just dip like the very, very tip of my brush into the solvent, and then it's like a sponge, it just absorbs it. And then I kind of flick off the excess, and here we go. This paper, this is the Strathmore Bristol plate paper, and it's essentially like the smoothest drawing paper that you can actually use colored pencils on. And when you're using a really, really smooth paper, you need to use even less solvent because it's so much easier to wipe the colored pencil off the paper than like a toothier vellum or watercolor paper. But the benefit is that this paper dries really, really quickly because it is so smooth. It's a lot harder for the solvent to absorb into the paper, so it dries a lot faster since it kind of sits on the surface a bit more. How do you get over the illusion that a color is lighter or darker than it actually is? The best way that I would recommend is so I have a video on my channel called How to Color Everything, a guide to creating an effective color chart or color palette. And the method that I use in that video to create a color chart is what I would recommend to help you identify your colors better. But if you want a more analog way of doing it without a computer, take a white piece of paper, cut a square or a circle, whatever's easiest. If you have a hole punch, then just a little circle. Just make sure that there's enough white paper on the side. Just cut a little hole in it, and then do this. Do it over your reference photo or whatnot, and then you have that color isolated from everything around it, and that will help you get through those tricky situations. But I use Photoshop. I use Photoshop to create a digital color palette, and then I use the colors that I isolate and my handy dandy color chart to select the appropriate color. What size is this drawing? It is 11 by 14 inches. Yeah. It's pretty close to A3 size for those of you that use those sizes as reference. It's a little smaller than A3. Oh, hey there, Mithril. Good to see you again. Oh goodness, has it been an hour already? Geez, we talked about Game of Thrones, serial killers, how we met each other's significant other. What else did we talk about? We need a recap. Somebody give us a recap in the chat what we all talked about today. What solvent I use? We talk about that every live stream. It's gonna be a running joke from now on. The first thing people are going to ask in the chat is, "What solvent are you using?" It's like the first question of every live stream I ever do. What solvent are you using? What are you talking about? I'm painting digitally. What solvent are you using? I'm sculpting with clay. You guys need to remember that. So, first question of every live stream needs to be what solvent I'm using. And then we can have our own inside joke, and everybody that missed this live stream will have no idea why we're laughing or what we're talking about. And then we can make fun of them for being a newbie. Uh, 20 more layers on the background, and I should be good to go. Just want to get rid of that pencil texture. Yeah, it's funny, I always have like the hardest time burnishing my backgrounds, but when it comes to like burnishing my main subject, it's so much easier. I have no idea why. It's not like I don't know what color I want my background to be. I guess I just have like this this hesitation of going too dark, but none of my colors are dark, and it doesn't make any sense to be hesitant about it. Like, I know exactly what colors I need to be using, and I should just apply them completely, but I keep doing this like slow layer nonsense that's just taking forever, and it's not getting the coverage that I want. Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, Marvel, Mindhunters, yeah, Brainwash, Psychology, High School, yeah, dating, old girlfriends, yeah. Thanks for the recap, Iris. Paper can take that many layers. Absolutely. Yep, it sure can. Paper can take infinite layers. You just need to know how to do it. Actually, it's not a big secret. You just need brush and pencil, textured fixative spray. Then any paper can take infinite layers. But I won't be using any of that on this project. Oh, need to talk scars. Yeah. I have a scar right here in the middle of between my eyebrows. I got that scar. Oh goodness, how old was I? I was probably 4. Yeah, maybe 4, or possibly 3. I'm trying to think. I was at my grandma's house. My sister Lisa and we were playing outside, and there was this truck parked there in the gravel driveway, and there was this cardboard box. There was like the back of the truck, and then there was a cardboard box, just a flat piece of cardboard, so calling it a box would be wrong. It's just a flat piece of cardboard on the ground, on the gravel. And I don't know what compelled us to play with this flat piece of box, but we were intrigued enough by this piece of cardboard that we found enjoyment out of jumping on it. I have no idea why. But as we were playing on this piece of cardboard, I tripped, I fell, I smacked my head off the back of the truck. Now, initially, like, it hurt, but I wasn't hurt. Like, I wasn't crying, I wasn't worried. But then, my sister Lisa starts freaking out, screaming, going nuts, and so she scares me half to death, and I start to cry. Because there's blood coming down my face. I didn't know there was blood coming down my face until I went like this and saw it on my hand, but it didn't hurt. Like, it wasn't painful. You would think that it would be, but it wasn't. So she goes running off into the house, screaming and yelling all kinds of stuff. And of course, everybody comes running out and freaking out. Everybody's freaking out. It's freaking me out, making me cry for no reason because I'm not even hurt, despite the laceration on my forehead. My dad grabs a wet washcloth. I hold it to my forehead. He rushes me off to the emergency room. I get 5 stitches, and that's that scar right there. You can't see it. It's healed a lot, but I have a scar here, a big one. It's more of a road rash scar. That one's from skateboarding. I did that one skateboarding. I was at Tuscarora Park in New Philadelphia, Ohio, and it used to be like the place to be. Now it's just lame. But there's this one hill that goes down beside swing sets that are no longer there. Tragic. The best swing sets in the world. And then the path goes into the miniature golf course that has a perimeter of those miniature railroad tracks. You know, the little railroad, the trains that you sit on and like they take you, and kids love them or whatever. So yeah, I was bombing this hill, and I went over the railroad tracks. I was on a skateboard, so you can imagine what happened. I just went flying and then skidded my elbow really good. And yeah, so that's how I got that scar. I have one. I have one on my shin. I'm not going to show you my shin. I don't know how I'd do a handstand maybe. I have one like right in the middle of my left shin. It's probably about the size of my pinky or so. So I don't know, 4 or 5 centimeters long and about a half a centimeter wide. That one I got from riding BMX. Oh, gosh, the dumbest thing in the world too. That when I got that scar, I was like, man, I don't even have a good story to go with it, because it was really stupid. I used to ride BMX a lot when I was in high school, and I was actually quite good for my age, and I could do some pretty big jumps, and I could do some pretty rad tricks and stuff. But yeah, I got this scar doing like the least coolest thing in the world. I was just goofing off with a few people beside our skate park, and they had this tiny little jump. It was just a little kicker. It was maybe like, I don't know, 40 centimeters tall that you ramp off of. Super tiny. It was just a few people on scooters and skateboards that were like jumping over it. And so me and my infinite wisdom, I decided to jump it on my bike and do a no-footer. So a no-footer is just where you're riding, you jump, and then while you're in the air, you take both feet off the pedals, you put them back on the pedals, and then you land and you ride away. Yeah, well, BMX bikes, you know, they pedal backwards. Like the pedals will go backwards and they'll flip around, and they make that ratchet sound with the sprocket in the back. Well, you know, if you land a no-footer, but your front foot doesn't land on the pedal, it lands behind the pedal, what's going to happen is you're going to land on that back pedal, and it is going to swing your pedals around at the speed of light, and it's going to go crashing right into your shin. And, you know, when you ride BMX, you know, at a skate park and you ride it, you know, you take it more seriously than most people, you have metal pedals. You don't have those plastic cheap ones that your foot's going to slide off of. And so that metal pedal just smashed into my shin, and it just split my shin open like a melon. It had like there was cartilage hanging out. I don't mean to get graphic here, but the white stuff, the cartilage stuff, yeah, you could see that. It was pretty bad. And I just put a couple butterflies on it and called it a day. And that's why it's scarred so bad, because it definitely needed stitches. It 100% needed stitches. But I just put those like little butterfly band-aids on it, and went back to riding. So I have that scar. I have some scars on the inside of my leg. They look like a dog scratched me, like a large dog scratched me. But those are actually scars from briar bushes, so the prickly bushes. I got those scars. I have one cool story. I have those scars that look like a dog scratched me or something, or a large cat, is actually from running from the police. If you can believe that, I have scars from running from the police. I don't know if I've ever shared this story on my YouTube channel, but so I'm trying to think. I was 13 or 14. I was still young enough to justify being stupid. Okay, that's how old I was. I might have been 12 even. I was still young enough to be stupid, and my friend and I, we were longboarding down this really big hill over where he lived. And we were doing it all day. We would ride down this hill, walk back up, ride down the hill, walk back up. And it's a pretty big hill. I mean, it takes a good 25 minutes of just straight marching up this hill to get to the top. And it's a lot of fun to ride down. It's like nice and curvy and stuff. And at the bottom, there's this one turn where you can't tell if a car's coming. So it's like every time you are bombing this hill, it's like rolling the dice. Am I gonna get hit by a car this time? No. And there was a couple times where I had to like ride off the street and jump into the grass going like 40 miles an hour to not get hit by a car. But anyways, so how does such an innocent time turn into running from the police? Well, walking up this hill, we noticed that there was like an endless amount of beer bottles, empty beer bottles on the side of the road. So each time that we would walk up, we would just like put our fingers in 5 of them and carry like 5 empty beer bottles up to the top of the hill. And so we just did that until we had like 100 gosh darn beer bottles. And we ended up a little bit tired. By the time we got up to the hill, it was starting to get a little bit darker, so we couldn't really ride down anymore because you couldn't see anything. There wasn't no street lights on this hill. So we decided to line the road with the beer bottles. And I don't mean along the side. I mean across the entire road. Just lined up the beer bottles side by side. And we had so many beer bottles that we were able to do 2 rows of the beer bottles side by side, like touching each other all the way across. It was like 10 feet. So roughly 3 meters of 2 rows of beer bottles. So that's how many beer bottles there were, just to drive that point home. Not that that makes this any better of an idea, because it was still stupid. And a van inevitably came up over the crest of the hill, had no time to stop, smashes into all of these beer bottles, just glass breaking everywhere. And we thought it was the coolest thing in the whole world. And then I don't know, maybe an hour later or so, we were still up we just stayed at the top of the hill goofing off. And about an hour goes by and the cops pull up to the top of the hill because there's like this gravel kind of pull off area at the top. And we see the cops and we just start running through the woods. But unfortunately, when we jump into the woods, we actually jump right into a huge batch of briar bushes. My friend, he was wearing flip-flops. Gosh darn, I don't know how he managed it. But his flip-flops get tore from his feet, and we are running through these briar bushes, I had scrapes everywhere. On my neck, I had them everywhere. But the worst of it was right on the inside part of my knee. And I have three. I have three very deep gashes on the inside of my knee that scarred over from that. And those are my scar stories. Oh, and also we did get caught. That was probably the worst part. Not only did we jump through briar bushes and all of that, we did get away. We did get away, but when we got to the bottom of the hill, this unmarked police car pulled up to us and asked us what we were doing. And we had just looked like, we had ran through briar bushes. Like, there's no way we could have told this cop, and got away with it, that we were just walking. Because we were tore up. We were both wearing shorts. Maybe I was wearing a t-shirt, and my friend, he never wore a t-shirt, and he doesn't even know t-shirts exist. So we were messed up by these briar bushes, and so there was absolutely no way we were getting away with any type of story to this cop, because he was waiting like right where we needed to go. And as soon as he saw us, he just pulled right up. And it turns out that it was a lady, by the way, that hit the beer bottles, lived like really, really close to my friend. She didn't see us or anything, but she had filed the police report, and they had come to look at the car to see the damage or whatever. And yeah. So that's my scar story. 10 years. My friend is 10 years older than me. Yeah. So I was 12, he was like 22 or something. I gotta say, my background, I'm liking my background. I just gotta say that really quick. So tomorrow, more layers. I think with the scar stories, I'm gonna have to call it a day. I'm finished blending with the solvent for now. Tomorrow, I will just keep doing layers. Let's see, what time will I stream tomorrow? Maybe I'll do. No, I don't want to do a morning stream. Not on the weekend. I might stream the same time tomorrow, or maybe even later. Maybe I'll stream later tomorrow. I'll start at like 20 my time. So I'll schedule out the stream really, really soon. I'm looking at the chat here with the cameras here. So that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the stories. Now you know more about me than I ever wanted any of you to know. Yeah, there you go. Maybe tomorrow I'll tell you some Navy stories. I don't know. I might have to age restrict the live stream if I do that. But anyways, thank you guys so much for coming by and hanging out. Make sure you give the live stream a thumbs up, and invite your friends next time. So share the live streams, do all that fun stuff. Don't forget to check out my merch store if you want to buy a shirt, help support my channel. And then, yeah, that's going to be it. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Peace.